are in Lisbon, Portugal. We are joined by our brothers, Greg Dumas.
Hello.
And John. Also shares their last name, Utro.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And this is the first time they have graciously been willing to film with us for today. And part of the reason is the subject matter that we're discussing. Ray, do you want to fill us in on what we're discussing today?
We're talking about, I guess, the Alien series, not just the Alien movie.
I feel like we should talk about Alien. Well, so I think philosophically, Prometheus and Alien Covenant are more interesting to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Alien is a beloved because it's like the original. It started off the whole series. But then I also feel like the discussion should end somewhere around Alien Romulus. Because I feel like that is pretty true to the series. It does attempt to bridge Alien and Prometheus.
Yes, where does it end up in the series?
It's like the waypoint between 1 and 2.
Between 1 and 2?
Yeah, it happens while
I've watched this movie twice, and I feel like
I'm
watching the background.
Canonically, it is during Ripley's slumber.
Yes, so Ripley is drifting in sleep, right, in cryostasis.
Mm-hmm.
Spoiler alert for anybody who's not seen a movie from 1979. But Ripley is drifting in cryospace, and there are people unrelated to Ripley who board what's the name? No. What's the name of the vessel?
Nostromo?
So are we discussing contextually Romulus itself?
Well, I'm just briefly referencing Romulus. What's the vessel?
The starship that is crashing into the Earth slowly has two sides, Romulus and Remus, the two brothers.
But is there a name for the overall station?
I don't recall there being a name for it other than the two, Romulus and Remus. And though I'm not sure how they intended that to play out, they spent more time on the Romulus side of the vessel. So I don't know if part of it was housing and the other part of it was the lab.
I'm going to give a shout out first to...
by the way, before Ray does this, I'm going to interrupt him like I usually do in the show. We are Split Personalities. We are a show hosted by twins. I am your host. We are your hosts, Bob and Ray. Again, we're joined by our brothers, Greg and John, for this special episode. We have taken the show international. We've done it.
Yes.
We started in Cleveland, a little small operation. We branched out to Buffalo, New York, and into the surrounding areas.
And now
we have gone international. And we
haven't even released the episode yet.
We haven't even posted episode.
We're international.
And we are still looking for those sponsors. Sponsors. And if you make beer,
if you got money and you need to get rid of it,
you got some cash you need to offload, we will take that cash.
We'll take that cash.
Yeah. So before we actually talk about Alien, how are you finding Lisbon? Because it is your first day.
That's a good question.
We are pretty exhausted.
We are exhausted. We
didn't sleep while we were. This is a flight that Ray and I were on. Air Canada, shout out Air Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing wrong with them, but it's the most screaming children I've ever experienced.
Yeah, seriously.
I will say that Air Portugal would probably match you for child.
The most children and screaming children, yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I would say the one import to Portugal is screaming babies.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you are flying to Portugal, and I feel like I don't recall this maybe because I was one of those parents with a screaming child on a plane abroad. But
when you visit,
it seems like Spain and Portugal are a very family friendly place to vacation to, and thus. If you come here, you're going to have a lot of screaming children and families.
Yeah. We don't need to do a deep dive, but did you ever do a post interview with Evie to ask what she was screaming about? Now that we've landed, what was that all about?
She was really mad that she couldn't sleep. Basically, most of her gripes were she was sleep deprived. She couldn't lay down. There was no way. We had this little tent thing. And, did you and Alex buy that?
No, we just brought a car seat.
Okay, there was this little it's almost like if you have a dog, if there's a dog owners out there, they probably know this. There's this tarp thing you could buy for the back of the car that makes the back seat this bed. A bed area that they can lay down. We bought a very similar thing for Abby not comparing Evie to a dog. But we bought a very similar thing for Evie, and she just could not lay down. There was no comfortable space for her. Most of it was sleep deprivation, and just being like, I don't care what mom and dad's gripes are. Like, I'm gonna just go off.
I'm just gonna say, if you're a parent traveling with an infant or toddler, you just gotta accept that it's gonna suck,
or just don't.
or just don't.
Don't do that.
Or
Don't do that to other
I
people.
don't know why. Like,
Baby sedatives. I think we need.
Yes.
I will say, as a non-parent, I feel like you should pay more for children to ride red eyes. I guess
also
that's what
don't
it
know
was
why
more than
you
anything.
would-
I mean,
like, I
the
don't
middle
want-
of the day is
I
fine.
don't want to say like
Yeah.
you and Lauren shouldn't travel with Evie, but like you had an opportunity to visit
Well, her
because they're at
parents-
conference. They
Yes.
wouldn't watch her. Yeah, I know.
Lawrence,
They wanted to go.
Okay, this last thing
Spain.
I was saying, like, we gotta get back on.
We're still off topic right now.
Love you, Tom and
This
Julie.
is every podcast.
Every episode we've done has been 20
and it
minutes.
goes like 2 hours.
We've done we've been like, okay, we're only going to film an hour,
Yeah.
and we've gone 2 hours.
And then
And it's like we've gone on 5 20-minute tangents.
It's like, especially the last episode when we were talking about Metal Gear Solid, we're like, shit, we haven't even gotten the second game,
Are
really.
you able to edit this down to what makes
Oh,
sense?
yeah. We-
I feel like
post-production, we will make some edits.
Well,
Don't
I
worry.
I feel like
Part of the
we're
charm is
we're
not-
in Lisbon. You know, you got to talk about Lisbon a
Part of
little
the
bit.
charm of the show is we riff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We riff.
A ref.
We're kind of jazz musicians.
Yeah, play that
There you
jazz.
go. Except white.
Yeah,
Yes.
except fight.
And not
Yeah.
and we're hacks.
Yeah.
Not talent. We can't play any instruments, really.
So
But we've all been to New Orleans.
I
That's
feel like
true.
Right.
that's true.
So we know Jeff.
Ray, you play guitar. Come on.
I do, like, amateurly, but not for
Same.
years.
just don't, if you don't have to, don't travel with children.
Yeah. I feel like it's not a vacation.
It's
work.
not. It's not. Unless you have if you have the grandparents there to help watch. But even then, it's not. It's really not vacationing. Anyways, I feel like we should approach this chronologically, not chronologically in the sense of when they were released, but chronologically in the events of which take place.
So technically, Alien is the first movie released in the late 70s. But
Predated by Prometheus
Mhm.
and Alien Covenant.
there is this famous scene in Alien where you see this big thing in this chair that's never
Right.
explained,
Yes.
which is kind of
The engineer.
the engineer
We come
that
to know
we come
them
to
as
know
the engineer.
them as engineer, which is why
The
Ridley
interesting thing, and I think this was in an interview that Ridley Scott
Ridley
did.
Scott was always
Ridley
wondering
Scott was
why
always
no
like,
one ever.
Why did nobody?
revisited
Why
that.
was everybody so focused on the alien and not the guy in the chair in which
Yeah.
the alien came out of?
Which is why he eventually made Prometheus, which is technically really the first.
My favorite movie of the series. Is
I think so.
Prometheus.
Greg's
I
favorite movie
absolutely love
too.
Prometheus. It's amazing.
Yes.
It might be my favorite as well.
I think it's the most. To be honest, and I love Alien. It's in my mind of all of the ones that we will discuss tonight. I think Prometheus is the most interesting to me. It's like it's like the themes thematically. It is the most interesting movie.
It has tangible themes. It was sort of, as, and we certainly don't need to get down a rabbit hole on it, but just David watching Lawrence of Arabia all the way, like eternally,
Mhm.
until the
Right.
humans woke up. And while I never saw Lawrence of Arabia start to finish, it's sort of like the story of someone getting to a place and realizing that he thinks that he's on the wrong side of a conflict, as I am to understand. And so, David's turn getting to this planet, acclimating to it, and realizing that what he might consider a god, his creator is just a fallible man.
Right.
And kind of losing that inspiration, lowering his flag and raising another for himself,
Mhm.
I feel
Interesting
like
that he was also doing that to mimic humans, so he could be like humans, and that was much deeper than that.
Yeah, so in a sense, we got to this planet and learned that these gods are just mistake makers and he the same, and it just
I
led
feel
to
like-
a Jurassic Park of catastrophe.
Right. I
Yeah,
feel like a
there we go.
lot of David is becoming extremely more and more dejected and disappointed with humans, and then later on those who created humans, the engineers.
Mhm.
He just is very unimpressed by them. I feel
Yeah.
like, and then it's like, okay, let me offload. well, I'm jumping in Covenant, but like,
It's hard to not do.
yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, like, let me, these guys aren't very impressive, and they created humans, and they're fallible too. Let me just offload this black goo onto them too.
Yeah.
To its betterment and its detriment, Prometheus and Alien Covenant are 2 chapters of the same book.
Yes.
Yeah. To a degree. Yeah.
And the one interesting thing that happens between the two of them is that it's the first instance in the timeline where we, like, in Alien Covenant, when they're coming off the ship and they're wearing the garbs, they are now Weyland-Yutani. So, like, Weyland Corporation, and there was one I watched.
We missed the merger.
Yes, I watched a YouTuber, and I can't remember the point that he makes, but I think he makes the point of, like, Weyland's dead, so now the merger could happen.
Right.
Like after Prometheus. But what we come to know as Weyland-Yutani becomes extremely interested in the xenomorph, in acquiring it, and that becomes like their driving goal throughout the franchise. As the franchise continues.
Right. So, I mean, I guess starting with Prometheus, these engineers are essentially like our alien creators. We eventually come to find.
We also learned that
we shared the same DNA.
There was an event that happened 2,000 years ago in which the engineers were going to kill off humanity and decided not to. And like it seems like it's become accepted lore that Jesus Christ was an engineer.
Yeah. They said I guess
Interesting. I didn't realize that.
One of the YouTubers
there's somebody who interviews Ridley Scott at one point and makes this comment where he's like, based on your timeline, it seems like, okay, so there was an ambassador sent to Earth who was killed and betrayed, which would have sent off the events of the engineers wanting to go to Earth to kill the humans.
Yeah, I guess like this was the last.
Jesus of Nazareth was the ambassador, the engineer ambassador to Earth.
Yeah, this was the engineer's last the engineer's last effort to like be like, is humanity worth like keeping around?
Right.
But there are also like tiers of society that never were really discussed, wherein the engineers were also theorized. The engineers in Prometheus were theorized to be weapon wielders and not scientists. And the theory that the planet that David came to in Alien Covenant was not actually full of these warmonger engineers or these weapon creators. It was a completely different subspecies or side species of that and us.
They seem to like appear to be more like the engineer. Like in Covenant, when David offloads the bioweapon onto this planet, which is the planet that encompasses the events of Covenant, they seem to be more engineer-like than the humans, but they're not. They're not the engineers. They seem to be almost a sub-creation and/or some sort of, like John says,
it seemed like a species of the engineers.
Yeah.
Because they had the same look.
The engineers seem to have some sort of drive to create life throughout the universe in different forms.
Yes. But they're all albino, which comes back to white people ruin everything.
Mm-hmm.
There's that.
Yeah,
that's actually the real theme.
Yeah.
Aliens.
Yes. Was there an Egyptian tie into this, like as far as ancient civilization, the pyramids?
Well, I feel like the tie-in is more so in Prometheus, where they say all of these different cultures reference
Egyptians were one of them.
Reference the gods or this
cluster of stars
of planets, like in Mesopotamia, in whatever, like in France.
We're talking about like Bronze Age, like
Basically, Prometheus opens up past the alien engineer killing himself and spreading his DNA into the water. Thus creating human life. Thus creating life that eventually becomes human life on Earth. Like, then it cuts to Elizabeth Shaw and her beau. I don't remember his name.
Her boo.
Yeah. Her black ubu.
We can call him the guy from Devil.
Nice.
Another underrated film.
Halloway. Wasn't it Halloway?
Yeah, I think so.
Anyways, it cuts to them like breaking into a cave, which was like in France or something like that, or Scotland or something, and it has the same paintings.
Wasn't this like the whole idea of Egyptian or like ancient painting cliff
Yeah.
paintings through many societies.
All of these
different
different
parts of the
societies
world.
who did not have interaction with
Exactly.
each other
Yes, and
had
therefore
the same cave
the same
depictions
vision.
or whatever.
They discovered this, and we eventually cut not too far later to them then explaining this to the crew.
Yes, which one of my favorite lines when Charlize Theron bitches out, I forget who it was, and she's like, "My company paid $1 trillion to bring you here," and it was just like
that was her father, correct?
We find it,
Mr. Whalen.
Yeah, well, but she was talking to one of the crew members or somebody, and she was basically being like, "You are lucky to be here." Basically, like she was like so fierce in this whole thing.
Was it? I think it might have been Shaw and her scientist friend. Boyfriend.
Yeah.
But the idea that, like, of course, in the end, it got privatized and money corrupts everything, and it's like the company was so rich that it paid $1 trillion to make this mission possible, kind of thing. I thought it was a very impactful statement, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, to Greg's point, I feel like a lot of Weyland-Yutani is like the evils of capitalism. It's just kind of like a. It's
in the end, they want
the suits are coming in. They want the xenomorph.
Yeah,
they
want 100%.
They want this they want this black goo. They want the xenomorph. They want
they want it all. They want the IP. They want the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. They want the IP. That's right.
Yeah.
I think that's the most interesting thing about Romulus and the connection that it makes to Prometheus is it does bring the black goo back into the fold, but as a way to extend human life. Like they're still trying to figure out how to what's the word I'm working for? Like to backward engineer the black goo from the alien.
Reverse engineer.
They take the big chap, which is the nickname from the alien from the 1979 movie. They find that alien in space.
Yeah, he has cocooned himself.
Yeah, and they're trying to. Their interest is not so much in him as it is the black goo they extract from him,
which they call Prometheus's fire,
right? Which they're trying to use to extend or perfect. It's very much like Resident Evil with like the T virus and Spencer. Like he's trying to like perfect human.
And I don't know if they know that. Do they know this at the time? They must know in some way. This black goo is what one of the engineers drinks and then dies and then falls into the water on Earth, which eventually creates.
Well, that's intentionally done.
That's intentionally done
to degrade their genome into the
So somehow the humans must figure out there's a relation between this black goo and our own DNA.
In one of the movies, and maybe it was Covenant. One of the extra materials, like David, the android David, starts sending the Weyland Company information on his experiments. I don't know if this was in the comics or if it was in extra materials from Covenant.
He was uploading data throughout several of the movies, I thought. Was
the way Weyland-Yutani learns about the xenomorph because David sends them
information. Yeah, he sends them information
of experience he's done.
He's been
probably in hopes that they come get him.
Maybe. Because he's stranded.
stranded.
That's another thing that's very confusing to me about Covenant is he offloads this weapon and yet he obviously doesn't want to be stranded on this planet, and yet he gets stranded there. How does the
ship crash?
How does the ship crash in that movie?
The ship crashes because
do they fire on it?
They make.
We don't see the ship crash.
No, we do not see. Yeah, we do not see the engineer ship from Prometheus crash. He lands and. It's either assumed that he's run out of fuel or that he has survived a crash at that point.
It's the age-old debate of LV-46.
But they do find this ship, and it looked like it had crashed onto the planet, I think, in Covenant.
Well, I do not remember the engineer ship.
They do find the Juggernaut somewhere. That's one of the that's how one of the
guys crashed into like a bunch of trees.
And that's how one of the guys gets infected. There's a fungi in there, and he pokes at it, and the black goo goes up his nose or whatever.
Yeah. Another great corporate thing to reference back is that Weyland-Yutani has merged, and maybe there's not a whole lot of new hire training going on, and so everybody takes their helmets off on a new planet without any idea what the atmosphere is. I like how they don't.
Really, a lot of layoffs happening.
It's like, you know what? We're restructuring right now.
With many mergers, there are a lot of bad decisions.
Weyland doesn't feel like it has to share a lot of detail.
There's a lot of lower middle management on that ship.
I will say it's interesting to think about. So Weyland's interested in the black goo because he wants to extend his life.
Well, and
self-preservation is his whole motivation for the whole. For both movies.
But it's like when he dies, I think Wayland
and Ray's now returning to Prometheus.
I think
we're jumping around a lot.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I think Wayland and Yutani post his death, which is I think the motivation we see in Alien and Aliens is that Wayland and Yutani is interested in the aliens as a bioweapon.
Yeah, well, that's the interesting thing is like when we see Alien and Aliens, and
Whereas Wayland, I think, wanted to extend his life.
Well, it becomes clearer in Aliens, like with Burke.
Mm-hmm.
God damn it, Burke!
Yes.
That the Wayland Yutani knew about the xenomorph, and they've been trying to get it. And I mean, it is made clear in Alien because, like, the mother reveals that there's an alternative mission here. Mm-hmm. But it's always about this bioweapon. Mm-hmm. Prometheus really is like the strain of Alien that introduces the idea of like elongating human life. Or
I think it's like I guess the point I'm making is now that Wayland's dead, like. Okay,
Wayland wanted to live long.
He wanted to live longer. That's not our goal now that he's dead. We're Wayland and Yutani now. Like we can sell this
because Romulus brings it back in the fold.
Romulus does bring it back into the fold. There is this theory of reach. Essentially, a virus's job is to spread and ultimately die, and it's kind of treating human beings like a virus because like. Human beings have spread too far on Earth to the point that they now need to navigate off of Earth onto other planets, but they can't survive on other planets. Mm-hmm. Viruses adapt to their
that was the point
environments. Humans don't, and this was a way for humans. Prometheus's fire was a way for humans to adapt to new surroundings like a virus does. And so it really is a dark take on humankind across the board because it's sort of saying, hey, we're this virus that can't keep killing Earth, so we've got to spread to other planets, but now that we're killing these other planets, we're dying too. We need to survive to eat more planets, to
I think there's also like a theme that runs through about like, because eventually I think the end of the movie, Prometheus becomes a race between like the android and the humans to.
Well, there's some fear, I think, on the engineers' part about how far humans have gone. Like, I guess the fact that they've created artificial.
The point, that I'm making is that there's like this theme where
we are the AI.
Yeah, a theme where your creation eventually surpasses you. Yeah, like by the time the humans
and this
show up on Prometheus,
engineer's been asleep for like 2,000 years.
Yeah, the engineers society.
It's like, hey, I've been asleep for 2,000 years. I woke up and you're now 2,000 years advanced in your technology.
Yeah. I am shocked and disgusted that you've mastered language.
You made wine and you learned how to go to Portugal.
And then like the humans do the same thing with AI, is that they create another intelligent life.
It's like 16 walls, right?
Yeah, surpass them. Yeah. And David in the end is trying to. He doesn't find humans or engineers that interesting or
they're like material for him to compel his experiments.
Ultimately David is decapitated by an engineer, and
in the first movie,
and the quote where he says there is nothing, or
Wayland says that to David because he is on the verge of death. He is,
and David concurs with him to this extent that. Almost to the idea that David already knew what you were looking for is fake gold, and I found it in you, and you have found it in the engineers. You know?
He makes a comment to Holloway earlier in Prometheus where David asks Holloway, well, because Holloway's like, well, we're here to find out why they made us, and David's like, well, why did you make me? And Holloway says, well, because we could. Mm-hmm. And David's like, how disappointing would that be if that was the answer for you?
Right?
Yeah.
No, that's super heavy. That kind of explains the entire thing right there.
And that parallels again Lawrence of Arabia, where the lead character comes in under the British flag and starts fighting for under the Arab flag, which is kind of a loose connotation. It's been like high school since I was made to watch that film. So
I don't think I've ever watched
you know,
I know it's a famous piece of film.
yeah,
filmmaking.
it is.
It's lost on all of us because none of us have watched the movie.
I
Yeah.
don't think I've ever seen. The only clips I've seen are in relevance to Prometheus.
and so maybe that is, you know,
It's definitely
kind
something
of
Ridley Scott would watch.
a concept that we can loosely grasp, but that is lost on us because we just haven't gotten, you know, we just haven't backtracked to that parallel yet, because that would mean watching Lawrence of Arabia, and we just haven't gotten to Blockbuster Video.
But there are themes that like touch, you know, our touch point even like closer today than Lawrence of Arabia. But I mean, like, it's probably something Ridley Scott watched as a kid, you know, and themes of that film were important to him then.
Yeah,
There's a reason. There's nothing ever unintentional in a Ridley Scott film. You know,
Yeah.
he's just
Yeah.
he's having David watch Lawrence of Arabia in scenes where everybody else is in cryo sleep for a reason. You know, like there are themes in that movie that he wants to relate in this one.
yeah.
So Prometheus pretty much ends with everybody dying except for Elizabeth Shaw,
Right.
and she is able to
Send a message, right?
she's basically able to like defeat the engineer by letting out the trilobite, which is a nomenclature I found out by watching other YouTube videos. I would not have known the name of that.
I did not know that either.
Which is like a proto facehugger, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And the deacon breaks out. The proto chestburster, which is the deacon, breaks out of the. We see Prometheus ends with the chestburster breaking out of the engineer, but it's not
Creature kind of.
it's not the xenomorph we knew or grew up with. But the more important thing is Elizabeth Shaw and David are off planet now, heading to. David tries to convince her to go back to Earth, but she wants to go back to where the engineers are from.
Right.
And that sort of ends Prometheus, but paves the way for the next movie, which is Alien Covenant.
I think her ending message is very poetic, where it tells everyone not to come where they are because only death is there, and she is still searching. And it's like she hasn't given up on the quest for why are we here. And she can't accept that, what you said earlier.
She's very religious. We do learn that she's very Christian, whatever, an offshoot of Catholicism.
Yeah.
Christian,
I don't think the specificity was necessary with what like role or what subsect of Christianity she was. It was just the idea that she was a person of faith and she believed in this hierarchical system where you got from our tier to the engineers somehow up to God.
She couldn't believe that there was no meaning.
Yeah, she couldn't accept the fact that because we could. She couldn't accept that.
She wouldn't accept David's message.
She wouldn't accept David's message. Exactly. So that's why she kept
searching. And then
searching.
ultimately
that motivated her to move on.
Her fury at the engineers, wherein she said, they created us, then they tried to destroy us, and I need to know why.
Right.
That fury and that curiosity was her end. Right. Which we learned.
But the interesting thing is she would have died either way. So it's respectful that she kept on fighting, but she would have died if she had stayed, and she would have died if she had gone.
Well, that's up for debate because David may have taken her back to Earth. If that's the choice.
He starts with talking. His initial motive is to take her back to Earth, but she's the one that brings up wanting to go back to the engineer's planet. And this shows the interesting evolution in David's character, because he does not have the restrictions that are then implanted in future Weyland-Yutani synthetics, where he is like much more.
He has more free will.
He has more free will.
Yeah.
His plans seem to change as time goes on.
I think
his initial concern is to take care of Elizabeth Shaw, to get her back to Earth. That changes on the way.
Well, no. I think what I was saying is his orders come from Weyland himself, and someone makes this point.
I'm getting more wine. Yeah, everybody on camera, I'm getting more wine.
Someone makes this point.
I gotta pee.
Someone makes this point in the movie. I'm going to say this before I forget it. That asks David what happens when Weyland dies, and then he says, "Well, then I guess I'm free," because I think his directives come from come from Wayland.
I would say yes, and there is a little regret in his eyes when Peter Wayland dies at the end of Prometheus, but I do wonder, if there was like a little bit of freedom that he gained in that. I don't feel like he was absolutely sad.
Yeah, I mean, probably the same way that Shaw is sad, or wanting to know, like, okay, well, why are they trying to kill us now? It's like you don't get that you never get that resolution from your creator.
Yeah. So, and that was that. In a sense, when the engineer woke up at the end of Prometheus, part of the tangible, I guess, anger that the viewer was supposed to feel is, in part, like the engineer doesn't speak English, so there's that. But in terms of like wondering why did the engineer look down with so much disgust and just try to kill every human that was trying to talk with him? All of the discussion was one way. David just loosely assumed that he had a concept of how the engineer spoke and translated, and then the engineer just with this absolute disdain just started killing everybody or attempting to kill everybody.
Right.
It is up to the viewer to assume why that is,
Right, we never know. There's never a translation of what David says to the engineer.
Why was the engineer so disgusted?
It sounds like that if
I think one version does, or some people online have attempted to translate, or there is some version.
When you look at the engineer, you can tell like he has some sort of understanding.
Curious.
Of
David. His curiosity,
and everyone else.
His curiosity is piqued by David, but then I think his curiosity turns immediately to disgust that of this thing that humanity has created.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's impressed initially by David's ability to communicate with him, and then realizes he's not a biological being.
How long has this guy been asleep for? Like 2,000 years?
Like 2,000 years. I mean,
this guy just gets up and like kills everyone. He doesn't have to like take a piss or anything.
Initially, when they get down into the,
this guy doesn't have to take a shit or anything.
Yeah. And that's so weird. Like, I get up from an 8-hour sleep and like all of my joints are everywhere.
Yeah,
right.
I need to stretch before I start killing people.
Get out of his pot and then throw up, and he's like, "Okay, I'm good." He rallies.
Yeah.
Pukes and rallies.
Yeah. Like he got home from the bar late and cryo slept for 2,000 years.
Yeah.
Ian just watered our vegetables.
Okay, very good.
Shout
out to Ian
Shout out to
Adams, watering
Ian
our
Adams.
vegetables in Chicago.
Our brother-in-law.
Pick those tomatoes and eat them.
Yeah, it's presently about 5:15 p.m. in Chicago. It's almost midnight here.
Yeah.
So,
Ian, you are the real MVP.
yes. Yeah.
So
now that we're an hour in, we can talk about the second film,
Yes.
Alien Covenant.
Well, I feel like
we always thought we were just going to breeze through it.
Alien, I feel like is a very
What did
simple
we, like,
movie
really
to talk
learn
through.
about Alien Covenant?
So, Alien Covenant, the opening scene is incredible with like David at the piano and the whole creation. Like, if you the background of the beginning of David and all that.
Yeah,
It builds
that was
onto the
beautiful.
concern about AI.
Absolutely, yeah. Like, I mean, the whole. I think the character development of David is so pronounced in Alien Covenant. The story of Alien Covenant is kind of a dumb movie, I think, in general. Like, it's kind of boring from the ensemble cast. Well, I'm being an asshole, but like. I
And
think
James Franco dies within 5 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, the David part is just so fascinating to me. Like,
I forget that he was even in the movie.
He had a ton of like filmed scenes. They just cut them all
James Franco.
because it just didn't fit into the story, as I am to understand it. So
Yeah.
Daniels, who was his wife, he played Jacob, and then
So-
Daniels was his wife.
The thing about Covenant is a little different. Like, they're not looking for anything specifically other than they're looking for a planet to inhabit, almost like
it's
Well, what's dumb about it is that they just they
the
shift
late
course
Mayflower.
because they stumble upon some coordinates of a planet that matches what they're looking for. Like,
exactly. What
great,
they're
let's go
looking
do
for.
this one.
Like,
And it's
this
like,
is
well,
actually a better
so it's-
inhabitable planet.
and
Yeah.
yet the planet they were going to is further away, and they didn't find this other planet. You know what I mean? Like
it was a very kind of a
Well,
weak
I think
story.
they get woken up by distress signal, much
Yeah.
like in the
essentially
very first
they were awoken by a distress signal that was just country roads Take Me Home by John Denver, which told them that there was somebody responding to a song or something that was played out from Earth, because that is actually what NASA has been doing for years. As I understand it, is that NASA has been bouncing music out into space to see if anybody bounces it back, as a communication tool. And so I think that was kind of the key playoff that they were going for, where David had an awareness of, John Denver or old music or whatnot, and was able to send something that would pique someone's curiosity and bring them over. Because clearly, as the story stands, at least in the comics, it sounds like David was sending his experiments back to Weyland, which was by this time now Weyland-Yutani. Nevertheless, they did not direct the Covenant to cease operations and go to this planet. This was the decision made by the second in command after James Franco's character Jacob cooked alive in his cryopod.
Right. This, to be honest, there's not a lot. I mean, there is a lot that happens in the Covenant, but there's not a lot substantively that happens in the Covenant, other than David's character becomes much more pronounced in the sense that it is implied that he is the creator of what we come to know as the xenomorph.
Yes,
or the egg.
That's like, it's super important. Like, I mean, I think it's all about the David character. The rest of it is just
David is the star of the show.
100%. Yeah.
So wait, Deacon is the god, or is the peak? Deacon is the peak form of the black goo, as I am to understand it. Like David, it's almost a religious piece to the because there's a mural to the Deacon in Prometheus in the room where they find the black goo, the canisters that hold the black goo. On that wall, what looks to be a xenomorph or a cousin of the xenomorph, and some people have suggested it's the Deacon. So it's unclear. Some people have suggested maybe the engineers have gotten to the point of experimenting with the black goo to the point of creating a xenomorph. But I really think it's more captivating to understand the series as David creating the xenomorph, because I mean he does and he does do this in Covenant. He creates what we know as the xenomorph. And the interesting thing is, like, one of the interesting things that one of the YouTubers that I watched talk about this discussed is, why are they eggs? And one of the conclusions he comes to is the egg part of the facehugger coming out of the egg is because he's been experimenting with Shaw's body, and one of the ironies of Shaw is she could not have children of her own, and he harvests her eggs, mixes it with the black goo, creates the xenomorph egg from a human egg, and that becomes what we know as the facehugger. Yes. Anyways, like, the really big reveal of Covenant is we have now found out how the alien came to exist, and who created it. And unfortunately, like Alien Awakening, I don't know that that's going to happen. That was supposed to be the next.
Was that the third one in that series?
That was supposed to be the next one.
It was ultimately supposed to finally tie back to LV-426.
Yes. Right. Because
LV-426.
So
that creates a gap, because if David does create the eggs, how do engineers have the entire ship fall?
Well, and that's like, and there's even debates about that. Like on LV-426. So jumping over Covenant, David creates the alien. The alien, he's able to infect one of the crew members with the alien, and it will eventually two, and they burst out. Weirdly, in the scene that the first one bursts out, it's not the traditional chest burster. It comes out and it has arms and legs.
It has limbs.
Yeah, it has limbs, which is weird. I don't know. There's a weird difference between the ones in Awakening versus the ones that we know in the original
Covenant.
in Covenant, and then in the original Ridley Scott Alien, because in the Ridley Scott Alien they come out as sort of a snake version, and then grow into like 4 arms, 2 arms, 2 legs, a grown alien. Anyways, the thing with Covenant is David uses the black goo to engineer the alien egg, which becomes the face hugger, which then leads to the alien xenomorph. And that leads us into the original 1979 movie. And the movie Covenant ends with David putting he masks himself as the other synthetic,
right.
Walter. And he puts everybody to cryosleep, and the I can't remember the woman's name, but as she's falling into cryosleep, she's mentioning the cottage that she had mentioned to Walter, that she was going to build on the side of a river at this new place they're going to colonize. Right. And David obviously didn't know about this, and he pauses.
That was the tell.
He halts when she mentions this, and she says,
before she goes to sleep,
"David." And he puts her to sleep.
Yes.
And and as he's walking and looking he's super psyched that this mission was a colonization mission, because he has all these things to experiment with now. Mm-hmm. He has all these humans to experiment with now. One YouTuber makes the point that the black goo has been the most effective experimentation with humans. Mm-hmm. For some reason, the human offshoot of the engineer is the most useful.
So that is why you can have broad theories about Alien Covenant, because essentially another theory is that the peak form of the egg was offshot from humans. So maybe David never made it to LV-426. Maybe that engineer had humans to experiment on and was able to create those eggs, or perhaps
they were both able to, come to the same resolution. Perhaps,
honestly, this could be an eggs versus egg beaters scenario where David was able to replicate what the engineers were really going for on his own. With or without Elizabeth Shaw's DNA, he was able to do this. But that's what they were going for to begin with, these eggs.
Which makes sense with how Ridley Scott was taking the series, because David really does find everybody to be... He's disappointed. He's not only by humans, he's disappointed by engineers. He finds them to be not to his expectation. Which I really think is why he annihilates that planet.
Isn't it disappointed, like, in a non-emotional sense, though? It's almost like from a scientific perspective. He's like, this experiment did not become what I thought it would be, and I need to move on to
these beings are just kind of, like, unimpressive.
Passe, yeah.
And so that really leads us into, I think, really the final movie we're going to talk about tonight, which is... I mean, we did... To some degree,
a little bit.
We talked a little bit about Romulus. I feel like Romulus is only.
Do we talk about Alien? Do we need to talk about Alien?
This is what I'm getting into.
Oh, okay, all right.
Alien. 1979. Alien.
The OG.
Do we need to talk to it about it? Yes, it's what kicks off everything.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So
there wouldn't be a Prometheus or an Alien Covenant without an Alien.
Okay. I guess I was trying to see where.
Without an alien.
Well, okay. Where would you like it to go?
Yeah.
No, I think we should talk about Alien.
Okay. Well, where do you think it? Where were you hoping it go beyond that?
We said Romulus. And Romulus takes place after Aliens.
So. Okay, I do think Romulus is important to talk about. And we did talk about it to some degree, but let's briefly talk about Alien, because I feel like it's quick enough to get through. At least the events that happened in Alien.
Right. So we've already mentioned LV-426.
The most interesting thing to me about this movie is there is a derelict Juggernaut spaceship with a engineer that houses a bunch of alien eggs. Mm-hmm. Was that because David unleashed it?
There's a problem where until someone makes a tie-in between Covenant and Alien, we're not going to get the answer.
Yes. So, like, did the engineer on this crash Juggernaut LV-426, did he have an intention with these eggs,
or were the
engineers able to make these eggs on their
Were they able to replicate what David did?
The first one to make these eggs, like we're not going to get those answers until someone bridges that gap.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know why he crashed. We know why he crashes. He was killed.
Yeah,
but
something had burst out of him.
What was he? There is almost an intentionality with the ship because when the humans, when Ripley's team gets onto the ship, there's almost this. When they get down to the eggs, there's this barrier between the eggs. Like it interacts with them.
Yeah,
and
it wakes them up.
It wakes them up, and it's almost like wouldn't that seems very intentional? Where it's like, wouldn't the engineer have implanted that barrier so that they don't wake up? Like, this is why I go back and forth on whether or not the eggs on the engineer ship were left there not by his decision, by his or their decision, or. So, what was the engineer's job? Was the engineer's job to launch these eggs if a trespasser was to...
If someone was trespassing and approached them...
Or was he there to...
shut it off?
Was he there to protect...
Was
it going back to the destruction of Earth? Yeah. Or was this... Or, again, in this...
After Prometheus, you have to assume, like, there's interest in destroying Earth. This could have been another means.
But it's so weird because so much time has gone by.
If there's a hierarchy of engineers, like they have discussed,
one
military faction and one peaceful faction, was this engineer designated to protect these eggs or to keep them, almost as if he could not destroy them, so he had to keep them under that barrier, which he no longer was able to do after a chest burster had killed him.
We definitely don't know, and we won't know.
We won't know
the intention of the engineer who was flying that juggernaut. Like, we will never know unless that's revisited. But the most interesting thing about Alien is one, the xenomorph, but like two, and the point again to go back to something we've said before, like the fact that Ridley Scott introduced this idea of the engineer and nobody explored it beyond him. Like the alien becomes of our early lifetime, the alien becomes the focus of the franchise until Prometheus. And then Prometheus introduces this whole universe. But we will never, I guess going back to the point, we'll never know exactly why this engineer was flying this juggernaut ship and died of a chest burster, seemingly. We don't know that. We don't know why that happened unless Ridley decides, or somebody with Ridley's blessing decides to revisit that. But like, the events of the original Alien are pretty simple. An alien xenomorph, grown xenomorph, bursts out of one of the crew members, Kane, and wreaks havoc on the ship. And they do something that is done in multiple Alien movies and then Alien video games. Somebody's got to blow the fucking thing out of the airlock.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the motivations. There's a switch starting in Alien, maybe, because obviously there's no more engineers as far as we know. They're all gone. So the people who really know about...
Well, we don't know, but we assume they... I mean, like, humans have not come in contact with them, and human technology has advanced significantly.
The engineers wanted to kill them off like 2,000 years ago.
Well, that's the other weird thing. Yeah, that's the other weird thing.
You have to assume they either changed their mind or... Well, we know that some race of them, maybe an offshoot of them, a peaceful offshoot maybe, survived, and that David then killed. But anyways, starting with Alien, the point I was trying to make is Weyland-Yutani knows about this thing now.
Yes. That's the other important thing about Alien.
They direct this ship, the Nostromo, to
recover this thing.
that they've known about for a while at this point.
Yes, that they have to go check out this distress beacon.
And that is actually a solid offshoot that might become part of a third prequel film. Is essentially who sent that distress beacon. Was it David that was telling, was giving some final notice to Weyland-Yutani that, hey, this is where I landed and I'm running out of power and I'm going to power down and this is where all of my eggs are.
Right. There's definitely a part of David's story that is yet to be told because it ends, obviously, the way that Alien Covenant ends, it's like there's more to be told here. They're heading to this colonization planet. Like the ship is still heading towards this. David regurgitates 2 alien embryos and places them next to the human embryos that are being stored on the ship. He was super happy that he is getting picked up by a colonization mission because there are a lot of humans he can now experiment on. And his story has yet to be rounded
this whole ship
out.
That's full of eggs. Like you could, those colonists, you could easily create all those.
Yeah.
The question is, I don't know why he would be the one in the chair though.
He would not, as I would.
Well,
if I was
no.
to tether this together, he would.
David's
They have
not the
to feed
engineer.
off of bio-life. There's
Yeah.
no way you can
No,
do that.
no,
So
my
the question
point's
is,
not
like,
that.
Who's in that chair? It seems like it's the engineer. Why are they there?
Well, it's obvious it's engineer.
Why do they have David's eggs, or have they figured this out on their own?
Right. Yes.
What would get this moving now is the idea that now that they have done Alien Romulus and they have breathed new life into the film franchise again, and the end scene from Alien Romulus harkens back to the engineers with the kind of neomorph
Romulus
character.
ties in like several things where I think Weyland-Yutani is able to reverse engineer not only the alien but the black goo as well.
Yes.
But
Right.
this and Alien Earth, like if Alien Earth's success does anything, it should trigger someone to make a final Prometheus film. So a direct sequel to Alien Covenant that ties back into Alien and gives us the story of how did an engineer end up in a field of David's eggs, or are they David's eggs? What were the engineers looking to create this to begin with, and was this just simply David on another planet, kind of striking gold and randomly figuring out what the engineers were trying to do and replicating it? There is this feeling, or there is this space you can hold where David just randomly created what the engineers were looking to do all along, and LV-426 was just an offshoot that was not relative to Alien Covenant.
Figured it out, and maybe that explains why David's is slightly different. That's not this worm that bursts out; it's this thing with 4 limbs. Like,
There's definitely a reason.
We're never
for
going to know for sure, but David's able to create.
It was definitely
the thing that Ripley's crew finds.
It was definitely Ridley's intent to continue the story. Whether or not he was going to be allowed to, based on like
and
what,
whether or not he can or someone else does.
Yeah.
I feel like eventually.
I mean, he's so old at this point where it's like I feel like he kind of has to hand this off, which he did do to some extent with Romulus.
Well, the fact that we're talking about this to begin with is actually good news because it just means that there's a flavor for it, and that somebody might actually want to pick this up. And honestly, if Alien Earth does as well as I suspect it will, and we know that Alien Romulus did well enough to get its own sequel,
do we know
greenlit?
Do we know the timeline with Alien Earth?
Alien Earth happens before Alien and after Covenant, but they don't say exactly when. I do believe. So there may be some tethering in there that gives us some sort of storyline to bridge from Covenant to Alien. And honestly, depending on how many seasons it is, if they're able to tell that story from Earth, how eggs got to LV-426, all the more benefit to them, that they created a TV show that was worth multiple seasons and also answered that question for us without having to get into a movie budget.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I guess, that's the real thing, I guess, to talk about. Well, like, Romulus tied in to both Alien and Prometheus. It tied in both the goo and the eggs and the facehuggers. So where they go from here is interesting. Now, obviously there are multiple projects that have already been greenlight. I'll be interested to see what happens with the FX show. Mm-hmm. I've not followed that a lot recently, so I don't know where they're at with that. I know it's being released.
The loose concept is that a ship crash lands on Earth that has multiple aliens, one of them being the facehugger, I believe. So essentially, they're going to go perhaps, and we'll see if this happens in August when it releases on FX, but they're going to go perhaps into a bit of Creature of the Week with the overarching theme that the facehugger is out there and is on Earth.
Well, that might be all we can cover tonight.
Yeah,
because it's late. We are in Lisbon.
Ray and I lost one to cryosleep.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Ray and I are running on fumes, and we all are probably running on fumes at this point.
One day of walking around the entire city.
Yeah, well, I would say bring climbing shoes if you're coming to Lisbon.
Yeah.
Yes.
If it says it's half a mile away, it's up and down and back up again.
Mm-hmm. And please cry for us being able to have this experience. You should all be upset for us.
You should feel
sorry for us.
Yeah.
Yes.
My legs hurt being in this beautiful town, not having to work for a week.
Exactly.
My legs hurt, and the
Yes.
wine tastes fantastic.
Yes.
Shout out to Doro. This is the first time we're drinking wine this year.
It's honestly
Bob and I
this.
almost
You know
are
what?
Always drinking massive beers.
You know what? And this is the time to do this. Shout out to you, Duro.
The Douro region.
All Portuguese wine.
Yes.
We were drinking a lot of Vino Verde earlier.
Yeah,
Yes.
Vino Verde is your sweet spot, especially if it's hot out. A green wine is your sweet spot, but nighttime everything's cool. You want like a red. The Douro region is probably your best bet for a style of wine.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and but this is also a good time to remind the folks watching that we love Masthead, we love Noble Beast.
Yes.
If you're a brewery in the Cleveland area, please sponsor us.
Please like and subscribe.
Throw
that cash at us.
We know the YouTube folks say that. We watch YouTube videos. They say like.
Portugal,
they say subscribe.
your wineries, your government.
Everybody, we are we are two hacks who will take money, and we're for sale. We'll take that money. We're sleuthing for subscribers, and like and subscribe, and if you have that kind of money you want to throw around, sponsor us. This has been another episode of Split Personalities. We are your hosts, Bob and Ray. Obviously, we were joined with our guests today, our brothers, John and Greg.
Thank you for having us.
No, thank you for doing this.
John specifically was probably our intro.
We knew that if we were going to talk about Alien, we were like, okay, this is the perfect time to do it because we need John on this episode.
I don't know that I can say like that you haven't released episode 1 yet, and I want to hear about the Transformers because
the audio is not great on that episode. I didn't figure out the mics.
I referenced John earlier because we're like, he's a lot of our tie into like a lot.
Yeah, a lot of our pop culture came from John because we were obviously we were the last 2 of 7. Gross, yes, you. But because of that, a lot of our cultural touch points were with like things from the 80s. You know, so
I got a lot of mini bots because I had to buy them with my paper out money. The $2.99 Bumblebees and Bronze and
there was a lot of.
And you guys had, I think, Mom and Dad got you an Optimus Prime and a Megatron when they re-released.
Boom.
When they re-released them.
I remember those things were like metal. They were like weapons.
Yeah.
Yes, you could. I mean, we never did this, but you could kill somebody with those things.
But yeah, I mean, a lot of our cultural touch points were from John, and that's been a lot of like our guiding star here for the first few episodes, and we stuck with our childhood. We have no idea what we're talking about when we get back to the stateside. I don't even know what we're going to talk about.
Maybe you guys were what? 6 years old. I took you to Jurassic Park when I used to
talk about Jurassic Park.
I used to work at the movie theater ages ago.
We've referenced this.
One of the perks was that we got to watch the movies. Back then, film wasn't digital. That came out on the actual reels that I used to have to drive from Cincinnati up to Toledo, Ohio. And we had to make sure that it was strung correctly. So as a side result, we got to watch the movies about half a week before they premiered in theaters. And I don't remember if I took you guys to Jurassic Park before it premiered or after it did.
We definitely referenced you in an episode where we said that you used to... One of the
most positive we've seen Mortal Kombat in the theaters.
One of the perks of John babysitting us, and we did mention this in one of the previous episodes, was that the babysitting happened at the movie theater, and we got to jump from movie to movie.
Yeah,
Ray and I vividly remember watching Deep Blue Sea.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Was it? And Ray thinks it was Mortal Kombat was the other movie.
Well, no, I think that
we were literally just jumping from
that day. I think we saw Sleepy Hollow as well.
Oh, Sleepy Hollow. Okay, yeah, it was a creepy one.
Yeah, it was bouncing around.
Or 99, something like that.
Anyways,
but I was positive we saw Mortal Kombat because you took us.
Yeah,
back in the days.
Did I take you guys to Turtles one? I don't remember.
Maybe. I mean, back in the days, movies were a whole like you went to dinner. You went to the movie.
You could afford them.
Dinner.
Yeah.
You watched John paint artwork on the on Franklin Park Cinemas windows.
Yeah.
Some chicken runs.
Some Rugrats. I think you did Rugrats.
A little bit of this, a little bit of that.
A little bit of this, a little bit.
The longest outro ever.
Yes. Anyways, who knows if that'll make the cut.
We don't know what we're going to talk about next. We've had sort of a format here, but we were a little impromptu here. We're sleep deprived. We're abroad. Mm-hmm. We took the show. We've grown from a little show in Cleveland to an international show.
Yeah, going global.
Without releasing
one episode yet. And we're tired as fuck, so we're gonna go sleep.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So we're gonna finish this wine. This has been Split Personalities with our brothers. Thank you for doing this with us.
Cheers.
If you're following us, like and subscribe. Get us above 0 followers. Thank you. Give us that money. We need that money. Mm-hmm. We don't want to work we don't want to conventionally work for the rest of our lives.
We're gonna be digital nomads here.
Yeah. Oh yeah, a little shout out to Coaster Pride.
Oh, and yes, if you are on YouTube and you want to follow Facebook, Instagram, follow our brother-in-law Greg. He's doing Coaster Pride, and
at Coaster Pride and at Coaster Pride Chicago.
Shout out Coaster Pride. And at Coaster Pride Chicago, we love Greg and we want to support his show and we want him to support our show. So give the fucking love back, okay?
Build the U-Truck first.
We're trying to bring we're trying to build this Marvel universe.
Start this and then we're gonna rope all our siblings.
Everybody's doing
as long as we're heading back to Chicago, if Half Acre wants to shoot Coaster Pride some money, we'll give you a shout out.
We need just start flooding us.
Six Flags Entertainment Corporation.
Just if you see somebody with the name Utrup and or Dumas and or Adams, just flood them with money, and just send us money. So, all right, this has been Split Personalities. Thanks for watching us. Thanks for following us, and we'll have some sort of episode following this, maybe. Who knows?
Might film again in Dublin. We don't know.
Yeah.
I think
probably not.
There's got to be a Guinness episode. Come on.
Okay. Maybe. If Guinness lets us do that, that'd be great. Actually, Guinness, we're going to come by your store soon in the next couple days. And Ray said that you're a sponsor. You just don't know yet.
Yeah, because Bob got engraved glasses.
I got engraved glasses with the name Split Personalities with Bob and Ray on it from the Guinness store. Mm-hmm. Guinness, you will sponsor us at some point. You just don't know yet. You're gonna love us. Don't worry. We're very friendly. We love Guinness, and we're gonna promote your shit.
Irish.
we come from Irish stock.
Irons to like Monahan,
Yes.
come on.
Yeah.
We're
So
heading-
you
heading
got.
to
I
meet the
mean,
family.
you got to give us money.
Got it.
Come on.
So, all right. Well,
Okay.
we're signing off. Okay, we're
Yeah.
tired. We're
All right.
gonna go to
All
bed.
right. All right.
Good night.
Okay, I love you. Bye bye.